Hello everyone, welcome to Unicorn Light Tarot. Sincerely hoping everybody is doing amazingly well today. So even though this will be a timeless reading, it is the month of October, so we're going to get as magical as we possibly can. So today's reading will be which spell book has a message for you, and it will be a magical energy reading. And we have Hazel, our beautiful witch, who is looking upon our reading today. She has not brushed her hair in a while, but she's beautiful just the way she is. And also I bought in our beautiful spell candle here, which I did dress with magic oil for abundance and beauty and healing. So that's going to be, energy is going to be in and around all of us for this reading. And of course, if you are brand new here, welcome. And if you are returning, and welcome to all the new subscribers too. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And a special shout out to for those of you who have been donating, really appreciate it. It's never expected, and I never remember that I even have that down there, but it's always a beautiful surprise, and all of that money goes right back into Unicorn Light Tarot, with more tarot and oracle and whatever. So it's deeply appreciative. So for those of you who have donated recently, special shout out to you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. All right, let's get going on these readings. So as always, we have Pile 1 or Spellbook 1, Spellbook 2, and Spellbook 3. Take as much time as you need. The more you are in touch with your own intuition and your own energy, aligned with your own energy, the more these readings make sense, and they will just pop out to you and reassure you, and they will definitely resonate. So, and if you choose one pile and it's not working out for you, choose another one. There's usually a message there just for you. And you know, if there's just this one time there isn't a message for you, I'm sure you can find a message for you in one of the other readings. So do not worry, we're here for you no matter what. So as always, take as much time as you need to come back to you. If you need to go ahead and pause the video, the timestamps will be down below. As always, take as much time as you need. And for those of you who are still here, let's take in a lovely deep breath. Hold for a moment and release. Just let all those worries go. Whatever you need to do today, just let it go. You're welcome to pick that up right after the reading, the 15-20 minutes that you spend here, how long your reading is. Absolutely. So let's go ahead and get right into your magical reading. Hazel's ready. So we're going to put pile 2 and pile 3 aside for now. So if you chose Spellbook 1, then this is your magical energy reading. We're going to start off with this oracle card. We have a myriad of different oracle cards here, and of course we have our tarot also, but we're going to start off with the theme of this reading. And let's get right into that. So the theme of your reading is patience. We've got the green corn moon here and the number 36. So patience. You are on the precipice of something bigger, and it is absolutely happening for you. The one thing that we keep getting that, and this is a theme at the moment too, is to expand your vision of what it could be, what something's going to look like when it comes to you. So, you know, it's very easy to, when you want something, to sort of hone in on it and hone in all of your energy. And while we're visualizing, that's absolutely wonderful. But the key is to surrendering and letting it go. And also saying to the universe, if there's something better for me, much more suited to me, surrender into that. So if you're wanting something to happen and you're narrowing your vision, just keep it open. And that's going to really help with the patience too for something coming in. You know that something's coming in. You can absolutely feel it without a shadow of a doubt. So, you know, if you find yourself trying to figure out what it is, because it's, you know, that's part of like being patient, right? Trying to figure out what it is, and it's getting a little frustrating. So, you know, you're focusing on specific things of what it is that you want. Just pull back a little bit. That's just a sign that you need to stay expansive. Now, whatever it is that you're individually focusing on may not be what's coming to fruition. You're only doing that because there's a sign of frustration, a little bit of impatience there. So if you find yourself doing that, come back and say, it's all going to be fine. It's all going to work out. And of course, everything that's going to come to you, if you align yourself and you're doing it, it's going to happen. But the expansiveness gives you the reasoning to say to the universe, whatever is for the highest good. So if there's something better out there for you, that will happen. So keep that expansive space as you're trying to be patient. We know that's not easy. It's a human trait. We want to rush things up. Plus, time is moving really strangely. For some people, it's extra slow. For some people, it's really, really quick. And as we work with our energy and sort of upgrade in some way in the energy fields, it really feels as though time is quickening up for you. So if this is something that's happening for you, and then it's like, all right, time is going so quickly, I kind of need to get this done. I need to move this forward. If that's part of what's going on, it just feels as though time is really clicking in, and it's quicker. Where did the time go? How did this day go so quickly? Feels as though the days are coming, you know, melding into one, the weeks are melding into one. That is just a sign of you leveling up in your energy, which is absolutely wonderful. And of course, you know, time is an illusion, and we say that, but, you know, in the 3D world, we live by time. We absolutely live by time. We live by calendars. We even live by calculators, and constantly figuring out things like this. And, you know, if you don't live by time and then you're 3 hours late to something, you're not going to get hired or whatever. So obviously we have time in this, in realities. But as your reality widens and your timelines sort of come together, the other thing that's happening for you too is that you do have converging timelines going on. So there's the patience is needed here, Pile 1 or Spellbook 1. Keep in with your magic. Stay with your magic. Know that whatever's for you, as a reminder, whatever is for you cannot be unfound. It's going to be found. It's going to make its way to you. So whatever you're supposed to have in this lifetime, it will find its way to you. It's looking for you too. So don't worry about that. But there's different timelines and different sort of things that are converging. And this may only be for a couple of you, but there are some things that are happening sort of that are really, really interesting, where you can actually tell if the timelines, two different timelines, are converging. It's happened to me a couple times where I put something down and I turn around and it's gone. It's not poltergeist activity or something like that. It's just that I have a memory of putting it down, but at the same time, when you go back, it's in a different reality. It sounds a little woo-woo, it sounds a little crazy, but as the timelines converge, you know, you can be on two different timelines. So some of you are on different timelines, and they're all converging at the same time. So this is also a reason for you to be patient while the best timeline finds you. Let's get you some more information. But you're absolutely exactly where you need to be. So fear not. And hopefully we can, like we said, we can give you some practical advice to, if, you know, if you start going down this route of, I want this one specific thing. And it's not that you really, you know, the thing is with you, with your personality, which is wonderful, you can make anything work. So yeah, I mean, whatever you're focusing on would be brilliant for you. It would be absolutely fine, but there might be something better out there for you. So if you're focusing on something that's specific that you think that you want, that's a sign for you to back up a little bit, have some patience, and say to the universe, if that's the really the one thing that you want, there might be something in that that you do need or that you do want, but it may not be that specific thing. So it's just about pulling back and making sure that whatever comes into your existence and whatever timeline you choose is of the highest that you can go. It mirrors completely your higher self. So you've got the familiar, and you've got guardians going on too. And you've got tarot card, and you've got guidance. So you are coming into your own magic. This is something that you've always had in and around you, but it's a new level of stepping up in your magic too. Also working with familiars, but working with animals also. For some of you, you might feel as though either working with animals or even small children have decided that, you know, that the innocence of that, or it's crossed your mind that you've wanted to do. It doesn't necessarily mean that you will. I'm going to move this a little bit back. We still have the magic, even if the candle, all of the candle is not on camera, but just want a little bit more room. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to include those aspects of working with animals or working with children. Or endangered, I was going to say endangered children, that happens to, and endangered animals. Doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to incorporate that and you know, stop what you're doing and go into that field. But it may have crossed your mind recently because your heart is opening, your heart chakra is opening, and it absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, wants to pull in and protect these beautiful, innocent beings. Now, you've always had this part of you before. It's not like, you know, this is all of a sudden, why do I love children? Or the idea or the understanding of wanting to protect children. Doesn't mean that you're, you know, obsessed with children, you want 20 of them. But this is also a beautiful sign that your heart chakra is opening and that you're having these feelings of wanting to protect them and wanting to be in and around them. And this is a wonderful thing for some of you, maybe not all of you, but working with the inner child has been an incredible experience, but it's also been sort of painful in some ways too, because not all of you have had these great existences sort of growing up and like, you know, family or early childhood. There's not always been that support for you. So doing that inner child work, of course, was crucial, but it was also sort of painful in a way because you didn't really know how to navigate it. It was sort of like 4 steps forward, 2 steps backwards, and this, that, and the other. Now you've done that and you're integrating your inner child, but the fact that you want to take this heart opening and you want to protect others in the way, to the degree that you do, whether you do or not, and it will be incorporated into what you do and into your life one way or another, and just opening up that heart chakra, it shows that you're on the other side of this integration of the inner child, and it's coming out, and it's absolutely beautiful. So this is a really big sort of milestone for you, working within the inner child and having the inner child so secure in a way that they can navigate now a little bit, not when they're having a tantrum, but they can navigate a little bit for you, which is a wonderful thing for you, because even though you have a lot of magic, you have a lot of raw power, and when you use it, it's absolutely gorgeous and you can get the results that you want. But for some of you, what you've been missing is that sort of that childlike essence too. So, you know, there's been a part of you that absolutely believed in magic, but then that practicality came in and said, yeah, but come on, timelines, different realms, you know, and there's that sort of the 2 elements of you, and that part of you, that practical element of you, was just trying to protect you too, because, you know, as you go into this understanding of real magic, and that magic is everywhere, you know, it was also linked to your inner child, and there was a little bit of rawness there because you didn't really have as much of a childhood as you could have for some of you. So it was sort of a bittersweet kind of bringing in all of this magic. So you kept your magic at an incremental level, even though you knew you were powerful. You used it in a certain way. And now that your heart is opening, you're opening to the expansiveness of magic. You already know that it exists. You already know that you're magical, but like using your power in that way and really opening it up. And again, you know, really reflecting on wanting to protect others. To be in a situation where, you know, you were not granted that. For some of you, you were not granted that, and now wanting to do that for someone else. I want to protect children. I want to protect these animals, and you know, that's a real 180 for you. So this is a beautiful reading for that. Let's see what else we have for you too. And it could mean for some of you actually working with familiars. You know, traditionally, familiars were not just cats, obviously, but they actually worked magic with you. So it's having this real bond and energy with not just felines, but with animals. It goes beyond sort of the human bond. It's like it's a magical bond of getting to the point where animals trust you, and they really do have an instinct about people. They absolutely do. They're pure in that way, and little children do too. So that's, you know, a sign that if they're more attracted to you, like little kids are more attracted to your energy, and animals are more attracted to that energy, your energy, that is also a sign for your heart to be open and is opening up too in a practical way. So you've got the Phoenix. How's that for happily ever after? Absolute. You've got the 9. So it's coming in for you without a doubt. And you've got let them go. So some old stuff might be coming up for you. Again, don't go down the rabbit hole. We say all the time, don't go down the rabbit hole. You don't need to do any of that in any way, shape, or form. There's no more healing to be done. It's just a perspective shift, and to be able to say, all right, I'm leaving this for now. I'm leaving this. I'm letting it all go. Sometimes when you look back, there's an essence of you in a very specific way that you wanted to do a little bit better in some ways, or I wish I hadn't done that. And it's not exactly a regret. It's just like, I can't believe I did that. You're very hard on yourself. You know, sometimes you felt a little bit, you know, quote unquote weak. That's, you know, just for clarity's sake, you weren't. And you did something that you wouldn't have normally have done or something like that. If you're looking back on your past, you know, forgive yourself for exactly where you were. We also want to remind you that all of your choices, that's not to say that you shouldn't take responsibility. You've never had a problem with responsibility one way or another, but you also have a wider understanding of how energy works. You know, there's, you know, in a situation, there's a myriad of different energies that are in there, other people that are involved, other karmas that are involved. And all you can do is take responsibility for your portion of it too. But because you're so expansive in that way, the way in which you see the world and the way in which you see energy, and you're open to it all, it's that understanding that when you look back on things and you might be disappointed in the way that you've reacted because you're taking responsibility for it, there was other karma in there. There was other energy in there too. So it's not a blame game, but you know, it wasn't just you. So there's a way of taking the responsibility, but not being so hard on yourself, you know? Yeah, you take the responsibility for what you did. You're sorry for it. You can let it go by saying, you know, there was so many other things going on right now at that time. Other energies in there, other circumstances, people brought in their own karma. And based on that energy, I made my decision. It wasn't just me in a vacuum making that decision. It would be easier for you to have that sort of macro vision, that objectivity, to be able to let that situation go for good. Because some of you are feeling a little bit down about the situations that you put yourself in, or specifically the choices that you made. Now, what's coming up is not the choices that you made per se that hurt you. It's choices that you made that maybe had a ripple effect and hurt other people. And in that moment, you definitely weren't thinking about that other person, but that's okay. You know, you've made amends as best as you can, and that's what you chose in that moment. And again, there were so many different energies in there, so you just did your best, and that's all you can do. Now, all of this clearing is coming up to support the heart chakra and your third eye chakra really opening up for you to move into your magic in a sort of a brand new way, and to really embrace it in a brand new way. And again, you've got that raw talent, you've got that magical essence, but you kept it locked tight, and you pull it out and you use it whenever you need to, almost like, all right, there's nothing else going on, or no one else is looking, I'm going to do it now, or my backup is against the wall, now I'm going to do it. And then you're great at surrendering, and then you're great at like using your power. But this is about integrating all of your power at one time and moving forward in uniform, and always having that power with you. So this is something that you're coming in to, and this magical merging really with the inner child that really allows you to open up into this world. And also, this is all about seeing the world as a magical place. Not a lot of you have seen the world as a magical place. There's essences of it. A lot of you have very active imagination, so in your mind it was a magical place, but the real world, when you stepped outside the door, wasn't. Or you know, you were engaged in sort of flights of fancy when you watch TV, fantastical stuff, or books, or this, that, and the other, whatever it was. But when you actually stepped outside the door, it did not feel safe to you. So this is all about making the world safe for you, again, on your own terms, by seeing, not just bringing in the insular sort of freedom that you have. That's magical, because in your mind, everything's magical and absolutely beautiful, but being able to project it and integrate it so you see it out in the world too. This is really what you're doing right now. You're securing that power, and you're really moving into seeing the world as a magical place at all times. It's not to say that things won't happen here and there, but you deal with them differently, right? But the magical place that you can have, the magical life that you can have, means that you need to see magic in the actual world. This is what you're working on, and it's absolutely happening. So if stuff is coming up for you to let go and move through it, don't take it in. And it's all leading you up to exactly where you need to be for that magical energy, for that happy ever after. Right, let's get you some tarot here, some specifics with the old tarot cards. So what do we have? I'm going to turn that up right, just because we're going to be a rebel here. Oops. And it's going to do 4. Gorgeousness. So let's move this over. Number 1, you've got the 6 of Athames. Okay, so we absolutely know, with the patience, with the let them go, that everything that you've been through so far, all of the bad stuff for the most part has ended. And when we say for the most part, we can't sit here and say everything, everything that you go through will be absolutely magical from now on in. Yes, you can see it that way for sure, but there are lessons that we need to learn, and that is governed very much by your higher self too. So we want to give you this beautiful, beautiful energy, but we also want to say that everything that you've been through, all of those cycles have ended, and you are coming into a magical place, and from that magical place you can handle anything you want, anything that you want. And then, the discussion of whether something is good or bad, that has can't even say the word. I'm sorry. Mercury retrograde is doing a number on my vocabularies. So it's just a matter of knowing that everything you've been through, all of that stuff is not going to procreate. It's not going to happen again. It's not going to, the cycles have been broken. So the old is the old. So whatever you're letting go of, you're letting go of for good. And you've moved through the bad stuff. You're ready for the magical stuff without a shadow of a doubt. Look at that. Gorgeousness, the Wheel of Fortune with your guardian. So it's all about being very honest about what it is that you want. You have the chance now that the Wheel of Fortune can move in any direction. You're the one moving it with your energy. So if you're having these ups and downs right now, well, one day you're ecstatic and one day you're a little bit, you can feel the denseness. That's okay. That's energy shifting. And even though this is a timeless message, we are bringing you this message with what's going on in the collective right now. And, right now we've got Mercury retrograde. We've got a pretty intense Mercury retrograde and a pretty intense month of October here, but it will still resonate whenever you click on this reading. So the Wheel of Fortune doing a 180, you're absolutely moving in the right direction. This is good. It's moving in your direction. You've got everything that you want. But also that expansiveness might bring you to a new height in whatever it is that you want. We talked about maybe this idea of working with children or this idea of working with animals. While you may not do that specifically, there might be other things that might come up and say, oh my goodness, I wouldn't mind doing that, or I wouldn't mind doing that. And it doesn't seem to meld with what it is that you did before. It's a new interest, or you didn't think you'd be going in that direction. Now, while you don't need to bombard yourself with what you need to do next, and all right, I'm going to look up courses now and train with this. That's not needed. But we do ask you to stay open to all of this, because even though you might not go down that route specifically, get trained to do this, that, and the other, just the opening of that thought might bring you to something else. So there's lots of different ideas that are going on right now. Take them all in, because they all mean something, and it'll keep you in that expansive mode. So moving forward for you it's on the horizons. It's absolutely happening. You've got the 2 of Chalices, the 2 of Cups, and you've got the Earth Mother. So something is dawning for you. Something is coming in. For some of you, it could be actual fertility, actually getting pregnant. For those of you who don't want to or cannot, or it's not on the horizon, that is absolutely wonderful too. And this is something of a birth that's coming up. Something that it would be something that you've been working on, some kind of project. For some of you, it could even be screenwriting, or something that's coming next. You've done the screenwriting, now it's going to the screen. or you've written the book and now it's going to be available to people. It's something that's moving forward, the birthing of a project, but it's something that's already been started and it's coming out to the public one way or another. For those of you who are standing in your own energy, there is an energy of aligning with the divine masculine and the divine feminine, and a chance for, if that's where your energy is at and that's where your attraction level is, bringing in somebody who will be your actual counterpart. Nobody that you need to look after, nobody that doesn't match your energy and your excitement for life, somebody who is a magical being who's also coming in too. So there's lots of stuff that's coming up for you. The main thing is to stay in your own power and to really expand your own power. You've got two essences to you, which is really funny, which works with the divine masculine, works with the divine feminine. You have this rawness to your magical power, but you also have this very much control over your magical power, understanding how powerful you are, and you pull it back and you pull it back. So there's an energy here of melding both of those aspects of self, and then really working with your magical energy with an absolute sort of precision as you move forward, and remembering the surrendering process. So again, if stuff comes up or your energy is going in and out, up and down, that's just part of the process right now. It's not going to stay that long. And again, if you have those timeline things where things are shifting and little weird things are happening where you're like, this hasn't happened before, that's just a sign that your timelines are converging and you're figuring out the most beneficial timeline for you. Always work with the universe, with the timeline that's for your highest self. Concentrate on what you do for the collective, and the rest of it will fall into place. If you're looking for success, you're looking for all of those things, there's nothing wrong with that. We encourage that for you. Just if you want that, it becomes a byproduct once you're in the world doing what you do. So stay in that high energy, work with fusing the different elements of how you work your magic, and stay expansive. And then you will move into this. It's not even a new beginning. It's a new way of being. So a new beginning doesn't really sort of do it justice. But you are right there. Trust. This is coming up. Okay, water. Work with the element of water for healing, purification, and refinement. So again, we've got the water here of letting things go, even having a bath, being out in the rain, dancing, being out in the rain. You know, something that takes you away from what you ordinarily do, but at the same time, you wouldn't feel, for most of you, wouldn't feel dancing in the rain is kind of a strange thing. But as the rain comes in, you probably wouldn't do it. So take that extra step to come outside of not even boundaries, because pretty much everything's sort of open at this time for you, but thinking outside of the box and taking your energy in different directions. But yeah, even having a shower with intention for cleansing and purification can really set you up for absolute success here. So working with the element of water, even like, as you know, a 15-minute meditation, even if you're busy, a 10-minute meditation before you go to bed with water in the background, water sounds, that can absolutely do something for you. If you're in a position to go to a body of water, that would be wonderful for you. Here you go. Gorgeous. Successful career, a happy working environment, pay raises and promotions. So this is yours with the guidance here. You have a lot of guidance going on. This is your happily ever after. Whatever you're doing, it's going to guarantee success. And the success is going to be brand new because it's coming out of timelines that you haven't seen before. It's coming out of behaviors that you haven't seen before. This new sort of pronounced version of you. Now, again, we've said this on this channel before. It's not about healing so you become whole. You're already whole. It's about really seeing yourself as this perfect entity of beauty and this sort of bubble and ball of energy that you have, and fusing the rawness and the practicality of the way in which you use your magic to move forward, to create these gorgeous sort of opportunities for you. And as a reminder, we create our own reality. We absolutely do. We create it in every moment. So stay in that expansiveness, because whatever's coming in for you, you've never seen before, but it's going to feel natural. It's going to feel natural. So it's all coming in. You've got the Earth Mother. Something is birthing. Hold on tight. It's not going to be long. We're not talking about a year, not talking about 18 months. It's right here. And some of you may have even just met your significant other. All of this. And, you know, stay in the moment. Stay in the expansiveness, because all of this can change like that. Absolutely. We're not even talking about element of time here because it's all sort of collapsing in that way. The time sequences are collapsing a little bit. So it can all be absolutely immediate, but allow it to happen. Expansiveness, allow it to happen. So that's what we have for you. Very exciting. Stay in your beautiful magic, pile one. We're sending you so much support for exactly who you are and where you are in the world. And you go be you. And until we meet again, take care. Bye-bye. Okay, all you lovely pile twos, welcome to your reading. Witch Spellbook. Spellbook number 2 has a message for you, and this is a magical energy reading. And as a reminder, Hazel, our beautiful witch, is here. We also have a magic candle for healing and abundance coming in. So we're going to start off with our oracle, move on to other oracles, and of course our tarot. So this will be the theme of your reading coming in. So let's get going. And it is fear. Okay, so you're releasing fear on all levels, sort of at a core level. But there's a different aspect of the fear. So here's what's going on. It's a layered version of it. You're actually releasing collective fears that you've had within your consciousness too. So we hope this actually helps you. So, there's personal fears, but what's happened is that you're so open. Or you've been so open, but there's a part of you that's been shielded because you sort of shut yourself down. A lot of you shut yourself down with things that are going on. But at the same time, you've remained incredibly open. It's kind of strange in that way. It sounds weird, but bear with us. We'll explain it. You've remained incredibly open to energy. And it's been able to creep in. So a lot of the collective energies, a lot of the collective fears have actually collected within you. And it's activated personal fears that correlate to it. So what you've done is that you've been working on, your personal fears without a shadow of a doubt. But a lot of those personal fears are, they're not even really fears. There just might be sort of hiccups. And then with the energy of the collective fear that you've carried with you, they've become a little bit, or certain aspects of your life have been not invaded, but it's certainly been highlighted a little bit, certain aspects of your life. For some of you, it's social, being out, social, feeling connected in the world. Now, a lot of that has come up. You've got the number 11 too. You're absolutely connected to your guides. You're really connected to yourself. Even though certain aspects of your life, certain times in your life, you didn't feel as though you were very connected to yourself, but you really were. It was the holding of the collective energy that had that barrier. And also there were energies in and around you, like dramatic energies. People were attracted to your energy. And what they were really attracted to, they were attracted to the power of who you are and what you could do. But they were attracted to the drama of the energy that you had collected also, because they saw themselves in you. But actually, you weren't anything like them. You were just holding on to that energy. So what you're realizing now is that as you can let go of that collective energy that you've stored in. Now, part of you didn't realize that you were doing this because you're alchemists. You took it in, but you weren't transmuting the energy. And because some of that energy on just a really basic level, right? On a really basic level, the collective energy sort of mirrored what you were going through. You took it as your own energy and you brought it in, but it wasn't your own energy. Now, there's a way of figuring out if this is you. Not every single one of you is going to feel this way, but if you felt as though you're a little bit of a martyr, you want everybody to be okay, you even try to do people's healing for them, you try to overprotect them from what was going on in their life to make sure that, and you have that sort of attitude of wanting people to be okay, but to the detriment maybe of yourself, where you're not being treated that well, boundaries have been blurred, and again, it could sort of go into the martyrdom. Now, this is not where you are now, but if you've had that in your past, then this is a sign that this is happening. So what you're doing now is you're releasing the collective fear at a core energy level. Now, this is incredibly important, and it's incredibly important that you realize that it's collective energy. It's not yours. Again, it may mirror a little bit of what you've been through, but you're so open. You can see everything in everyone else. So if somebody goes, can you be empathic to that? Can you see my point of view? You can. So, you saying, oh, there's a little bit of that, I can absolutely see how that correlates to my life, doesn't really mean anything, because you can do that with absolutely everything and everyone. That's the beauty of who you are. So the collective was mirroring in some sense what you've been through, but it's the drama of the collective, the expansiveness of the collective dark energy did not mirror what you went through. So a lot of what you've thought, the little quirks that you had, again, a lot of this for most of you is how you work in the world, the social aspect of how you work in the world, right? A lot of you think, I'm not that good at it, I'm a little bit awkward, I'm this, that, and the other. That's because of the collective energy that you had. So it's you've taken in that energy and you're releasing it now, and you're going to realize that you're actually really powerful. You already knew that, but you're actually really good with people. You're actually really good in the world, believe it or not. If you don't feel that way right now, that's okay. This is clearing out, but you're actually going to be in the limelight one way or another. You're going to be out in the world in a way that you could not really have predicted, or if you did predict, you understood that you could at a core level, but you didn't really know how you would be able to do that. Now, that's not to say that you don't like time on your own. You've never had a problem with that. You're not afraid of being alone, to go in, to recharge and say, this is what I need. And that's fine. The people who are around you, if they're not around you right now, but the people that are coming in, because there's soul family coming in, there's connections coming in, they will understand that and they will honor that completely. You've had people before who were like always hounding you, or just didn't really understand what they want. They wanted what they wanted, and they would come into your space even when you needed that space to be alone. They didn't really... It's not that they didn't understand the nuances of people really being alone. They just wanted what they wanted and they didn't really care. They didn't honor your boundaries. In fact, your boundaries didn't really exist when they wanted something. That's all gone. The people that are going to be in and around you are going to understand that you need to step away to recharge and do all of that. You're not going to have to have those shields up or really assert those boundaries anymore. So you have that aspect to your personality, but you also... there's an aspect of you that will love being center of attention. And for those of you who are like, that seems a little bit weird, it might seem a little bit weird now. But you're actually brilliant with people. And also, you're really brilliant with people who are not very nice, who haven't really dealt with their energy. They're still projecting it out. Because what you're able to do, you're able to show them to be a mirror, but at the same time, you don't react to them. So it immediately calms down their energy. So you have this sort of reflective power. It's kind of superpower where people can kind of come at you and then, you can diffuse the situation immediately. And then they are, oh, I'm sorry. Or, no, you're right. You know what? I've had a bad day. I shouldn't have said that. That's fine. That's not to say that, when people lash out at you, sometimes it's like, that's not appropriate. But you have that boundary. You already know it. You know the difference between people who are not going to learn from that and people who are just obsessed with everything being everybody else's fault, and people who are, not quite where they could be with their energy taking responsibility for it. But when you stand there as a mirror, they're like, oh, you know what? That was kind of shitty of me. I'm sorry about that. So... yeah, again, the boundaries, you've learned the boundaries thing. We're not worried about the boundaries thing with you, but you have that reflective or deflective kind of energy. And again, it is kind of a superpower. So we did this with pile 1. I'm going to move this back. The magic candle's still here, but we need a little bit more room. So it's off center there, but we promise you it's still there. All right, so you've got grounding and you've got earth and you've got the feminine lady goddess. So yeah, so this is about coming back into, you already have your intuition, but it's also grounding the divine feminine, the divine masculine. And again, with the social aspect of, being out in the world, you have this sort of, this divinity but you hold it to yourself when you're outside. It's almost like you're sort of holding your breath when you're outside in the world. And it's about feeling comfortable about using your intuition and seeing yourself for exactly who you are. And who you are is, you show up in the world as sort of divinely feminine. You are very balanced between the divine masculine and the divine feminine, but you have those divine feminine kind of attributes, regardless of how you look, even what gender you are, and how you groom yourself or anything. But you have the intuition, you have that tenderness, you have that beauty, and the world showed you at a very young age or the situations that you were in, the idea that you got is that needed to be protected and pulled back. And then you got the understanding that that can't be shown out into the world. Some of you may even be bullied for having that kind of energy, and showing that power. And so, you know, when you're trying to be out in the world, you know, you're sort of trying to be out in the world with and protecting and hiding a good aspect of yourself, because you just don't want to deal with the repercussions. But now that you're releasing the collective energy, and also everything is crumbling, the sort of patriarchy and all of that stuff, it's really coming to fruition, where people, we always knew, and if anybody's ever taken like a feminist a feminist class in college or something, you know, it's not like we've not talked about the patriarchy, you know, and how it shows up even in religion and throughout society. Anybody can see that. But it's, you know, academia is one aspect of the world. It's not really been integrated. So it's the knowledge of how detrimental it can be. And here's this beautiful spirit that you are, this absolutely gorgeous spirit. And some of you might even be two-spirit too, where, you know, you've been so sensitive. And it's just been really, really hard for you. So getting into that collective energy and releasing that collective energy and watching all of it shatter, to the patriarchy shatter, and this rising of the divine feminine. Now, a lot of people are saying that, you know, this rising of the divine feminine isn't really happening because the divine feminine never really went anywhere, so she doesn't need to rise. I get that. However you want to see it. I see it's a new profound kind of way to be in the world, and that is rising up, and it's supported by the divine feminine. That's the way that I like to see it, but there's no wrong or right way to see it, you know. But this is your element, this is your era for you to step into now, because this is the world that you really wanted to be born into, and you were born into this lifetime and this particular time for a particular reason, and that's to shine. Now, a lot of you who are saying, well, you know, it's a bit late, you know, I've been doing this for, you know, and now is my time. Now is your time, because you were you are very, very old spirits. You came in with a ton of karma that you had to work through anyway. So you took the first part of your life to work through that karma, to work through all of that, to become who you are. So this is, you know, if you feel as though, and this is more of a feeling rather than an age thing, you know, I'm a little bit older getting this done now, or I feel as though I've taken too long to do this. This is all part of what you needed to do to work through your karma, work through all of your past lives. Like we said, there were tons of them. So you are in perfect timing with yourself, and you are in perfect timing of healing and letting go of all of that collective energy, so you can stand into your raw true power and be in the world the way that you were supposed to, with this divine feminine standing up close and personal. And we want to be really clear here. The divine feminine, as we know in Mother Nature, you know, she's also badass, you know, as well as being nurturing and that divine mother, divine Gaia. You know, she can also destroy too. So, you know, there's a lot of power in the divine feminine one way or another. And we have seen that in Mother Nature. And we have seen that in the last 18 months too, when she's at her, you know, she's at her quota. Right, everybody gets a timeout. Stay in your houses until we get this done. So let's see, you've got a mural, be your first priority. And then you have lavender, surround yourself with love. So this is a really important time for you right now, Pile 2 or Spellbook 2, for you to work with your energy and your power in a very specific way, to concentrate on this divine feminine and releasing of the collective energy. And, you know, you can do this in meditation. You can do, Archangel Michael can help you. Any of your guides can help you. Your ancestors can help you, because a lot of that collective energy was also passed down to you also. Attitudes. Some of you have been working with the lack attitude, or more specifically, working with gratitude and knowing that you can, you know, with your power, you can, and your magic, you can bring in the kind of life that you want. But there's an aspect of your personality, this may not be for everyone, but there's an aspect of your personality that keeps it real, right? Not too expansive, just in case the other shoe drops, just in case it doesn't work out the way that I want to. We're just going to deplete the magic just a little bit, just to be realistic. But I'm expansive, and I believe it. You're expansive, and you believe it. You know that you can get some great stuff, but there's still a little bit there that just wants you to stay grounded, realistic, grounded. You know, being grounded in your energy is wonderful, but that's not the same thing. Being grounded in your magic is what brings in the gorgeousness. So, this grounded energy of, just in case it doesn't work out, we just want to be prepared for it. So all of that is in the collective. All of that is releasing. It's lack mentality. Even if you're expansive, but there's an aspect of you that's still prepared for something not working out, that's still lack mentality. That was passed down to you. And that's part of generations. We all have that from generations back, right? That's lack mentality, that's generations, that's bloodline stuff that you've been working on. It is also, without a shadow of a doubt, in the collective. Don't reach too far. Don't think too much. Just, this is what you're going to get. This is what you're going to do. Work really hard and maybe you can do, so many things that society has put it up for and, put us in a box. So we're all kind of competing against each other one way or another. But that's not the way it is, and that's not the way it actually is, and that's not the way it is for you. So connecting and earthing, grounding into your magic, releasing that lack mentality that's attached to this collective, and in this collective energy that you're releasing, man, there's so much in that. There's so much in that. So put your energy first. Be really good to yourself. Like we said with Palwam, very different energy. If you're having ups and downs right now, it's the collective that's leaving. Please look after your energy right now. It's really, really important. If you don't feel like doing X, Y, and Z and you don't have energy for that, that's great. Listen to where you are because this is important work that you're doing. It really is. Now let's get you some specifics with these tarot right here. But this is important work. And again, we say this on the channel, don't go down the rabbit hole. This is not a whole thing of healing. This is not even healing. This is, understanding and clicking into this energy and releasing it. And actually, I'm going to turn this up. Understanding that this is the collective that you're releasing will actually activate a lot of this energy moving forward. So let's see what we have with the lavender here. You've got the King of Athames. You've got this releasing of the fears, but you've got this truth movement forward, this understanding of truth, this understanding of who you are, what you stand for, and really standing in that energy in the world without a shadow of a doubt. So as all of this collective energy is shifting and moving up, getting out there, you're going to hold on to that truth of who you are no matter what. Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. You're here to shine a particular kind of light, this unique light into the world. So you have an idea of what it is. You have an idea of what your blueprint is. Some of you may be pretty clear about what that is, and that's wonderful. But your direction will be crystal clear. The way in which you move will be crystal clear. So keep shifting through and releasing that energy. If you know where you're going, but you don't have the signs to move forward yet, or you don't know the specifics of it yet, it is coming. It's absolutely coming. Do not worry about it. You've got the grounding of the earth. You've got the Four of Athames here too, with being your first priority. Let's see what we also have here. And you've got the Knight of Pentacles. So this is important for you not only to put your energy first, but to really understand what your story is and what your narrative is. Now, it's not to take this narrative and this is who I am and that's it, but it's really important to hone into your narrative of what you've been through, because you have a very specific way of seeing the world based on what you've been through, and this story will help others. And it's all about vulnerability. It's all about allowing in that energy of what it is, that sense of lack, that you were not good enough, or that that you were not strong enough in this world. There's aspect of you, for some of you, felt as though, oh, she's Hazel, I think she wants to get on a broom and get going there. There's a part of you, for some of you, may have felt as though, your beautiful attributes that you had were considered weak. So you were, and this is absolute crap. This is all the collective. This is absolutely not you. So you hid some of your vulnerabilities, or some of you were in such survival mode you didn't have time for vulnerabilities, didn't have time to be vulnerable, you had to get through this and move on to the next thing. So this is time that you've taken to be able to go into these core wounds, to be able to see them and see how they exist in the collective. And a lot of them were mirrored, a lot of them were carried, and a lot of them were misconceptions. And now you have the power to release them. You have the power to own your narrative in this really beautiful way, and you can help others do the same thing. You'll be very successful doing this. Now, some of you, it'll be through creative means. Some of you, it will be in nonprofit situations. But whatever it is that you do, this conglomeration coming in with other people, working with other people. We talked about soul family connections coming in. That's also coming in too, which is why the physicalities of moving forward yet. You don't know quite yet which way you're moving because you haven't met the people yet. But this is all, once you stay in the expansiveness of the actual moment that we're living in, you're not living in the past or the present, you can change your future like that. So we can't say that this is going to be a year. It won't. We can't say it's 6 months. There's no time limit on this. This can be immediate if you stay where you are. There's an absolute ending that's shifting right now. But it's owning your narrative. And again, not getting identified with it, but owning your narrative. Some people get really mixed up with this. We're not anything anymore. We're just, we don't have this narrative. We're just all one. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. It's fine to have that attitude. But really, at the end of the day, you do have a narrative. You did come here for a reason. And that narrative is usually pulled in and integrated into your blueprint. Now, you don't have to be identified with it. There's a really big difference. And you can release from it and still have that narrative and still help people because who's working through that narrative. So you don't have to release the narrative completely and just be out there in the ether, but you don't have to be identified with it, and you're not going to be. In fact, your whole thing right now is not to be identified by anything and not to be labeled by anything because you've had that most of your life. So that's one of the things that you'll be able to help people do too. But owning your narrative and owning that vulnerability is really going to move you forward. You've got the 5 of chalices here. There's so much for you to do. There's so much for you to experience. And you just have to see it as once the collective moves out, there will be a lot of opportunities. While you're trying to figure out opportunities, while the collective energy is moving out, could be quite confusing for you because you're not seeing things the way that they are. You're not seeing the opportunities that are there. Or like pile 1, like we said, you're trying to dumb yourself down and say, all right, I'm going to choose this X, Y, and Z. And there's so much more out there for you. So we absolutely assure you that there are things on the horizons coming in for you. You may not see them yet, but they're not going to be a huge surprise. The way in which they come in might be a huge surprise because you have this magical element in and around you, and this is a magical reading. So stay in your magic and stay in the energy of being vulnerable, understanding what that means, and building up your divine feminine to be out in the world the way that you want. But, with that real understanding of that divine masculine of, no, I'm going to be this, and that is that. So this understanding of being this really strong victor, and that's what you are, the amount of stuff that you've been through. I mean, we're just going to say the amount of shit that a lot of you have been through is incredible, and you're still gracious and you're still beautiful. So, that strength is going to be mirrored. That strength that's going to be grounded into who you are. You're going to absolutely be incredible out in the world. If for those of you who don't feel as though they're connected yet, it's coming. That's the next thing that's coming for you, to feel safe in the world and to be able to see the world the way in which you want to see it, as this magical, beautiful place, right? So, and we're not saying that there's not darkness in the world, but there's also incredible magic, and that's also coming up to the surface now as everything else is crumbling. Let's see what making magic we have for you. Perseverance. The motivation to keep going despite the odds. There's a little bit of that energy too for those of you who are feeling, oh my goodness, what's going on? There is so much beauty. Connect with your own source, your own energy, your own beauty. And a lot of that power is in the divine feminine, and it's backed up by the divine masculine saying, you've got this truth, you know who you are. Release exactly who you are. Again, release the collective energy that may be triggering some of the old stuff that's coming in. Release the lack. You don't need that anymore. That's bloodline stuff. That's also the collective. Also, reaching for further than you thought that you could get. That's also lack mentality, preparing yourself for something that may not work out. Also lack, all of that. It's all magical. It's all there for you. Go for gold. Absolutely. And you are not going to fall on your face. If something doesn't work out, something better is coming in for you. It's as simple as that. So what have we got here? Earth energy. Ask the element of earth for grounding, stability, and strength in times of chaos. So here we've got the energy of earth again, and it's really about grounding your own vulnerability, your own energy, who you are, your own truth into the earth, and claiming that completely away from the collective energy that you have collected. But it's now releasing. You're also alchemists, so you can transmute that energy. You always had the facility to do that. And when you consciously transmuted energy, you were able to do that at ease. But you weren't aware that this collective energy had collected. So now that you're aware of it, transmute it. There's some gems in there. You're absolutely going to learn so much about yourself in ways that you could not have imagined. So hang in there, pal, too. But this is an incredible reading, incredible magical reading, coming back to who you are and who you were always supposed to be in this connection, in this world, without a shadow of a doubt. So be you without apologies. Own that narrative and allow in that vulnerability. Through vulnerability and being vulnerable is where you are going to find those connections too, without a shadow of a doubt. And you're here to help others, and you're going to do an incredible job doing that. So we are sending you love and support for exactly where you are and who you are in the world right now. Please take care of yourself until we meet again, Pal 2. Bye-bye. Gorgeous Pal 3s, this is your reading, your Spellbook. Which Spellbook has a message for you? So you are Spellbook 3. And again, we are doing a magical energy reading. So we're going to start off with our oracle card. This will be the theme of your reading, and then we'll move in. We have our beautiful hazel here to oversee whatever comes up for you. And of course, we have the magic candle, which is anointed with magic oil for healing and abundance, for extra vavum. So let's get going for your reading. So you have darkness. Now, for those of you, so this is your theme. Now, for those of you who have been following me for a little while, you will know this. And for those of you who haven't, and you are brand new here or you missed it, there is a lot to be found in the darkness. There's love, there's beauty. It's, you know, darkness is not a bad thing. We shine light into that, but there's a lot of gifts to be found in the darkness, and this is what you're experiencing too. Now, of course, we have the shadow self that goes in, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done. That feels as though you've already done that. You're finding some gifts in the darkness. You're working with your energy and your magic a little bit differently. You're also having this confidence of using your energy differently and working with in realms that you wouldn't normally have worked in or been a little bit nervous about. So there's a lot of beauty to be found in the darkness for you. It's, again, not a bad thing, nothing to be frightened of. You're absolutely protected. This is what you've worked on. You've worked on protection. You've worked on really honing in on who your guides are and how they work. Also honing in on your own energy so you can tell the difference between what is and what isn't. Now, we say listen to our intuition, but if you've been through a lot of, you know, even abuse, if you've been through a lot of pain in this lifetime, you've been in the survival mode for a while, then it can be difficult to figure out what your mind is telling you and what truly is intuition. So this is something that you've realized, you've broken down for yourself, and you've figured out the difference between and really got in touch and understand what actual intuition is. So, and listening to yourself and trusting yourself again and building that relationship with trust within yourself. Now, we always say, you know, build that trust with the universe, but that can be difficult for some people, and that's been difficult for you. But learning to trust yourself and then seeing yourself as a reflection or absolutely part of the universe is a wonderful way to be able to do that. So trusting yourself, showing up for yourself when you set a goal, meet it. But at the same time, understanding that if that goal shifts, use that intuition that you're now honed in on to understand that that doesn't work for you anymore. You've outgrown that goal. You no longer need to go there. You don't need to achieve it. You don't need to step backwards. You don't need to go backwards. You're all about movement forward. So let's see what we have for you. Yes, dragons, slay them all. You've absolutely done that in such a way and in such a beautiful, magical way. Now, the way in which you've slayed your dragons, the way in which you move in the world may not make sense to absolutely everybody. However, you do attract, and you have attracted good people around you, in and around you. It's not that you haven't had darkness or dark people around you, or, you know, the dark energy, we should say, to be specific, you know, people who want to take things from you, people who don't see you for who you are, but see you for what they can take from you. It's not like you haven't had that, but even in those moments, you've always had one person, or you felt connected to one person who saw you for who you were, or accepted you for who you were. if you didn't feel seen, it's because you didn't see yourself yet. Till we can see ourselves fully, we don't really get to see what other people see in us. Now, you'll go to, not everybody's going to be able to actually see us. They're just not. And sometimes when people do see us, they get triggered by it and they sort of run the other way, or, all sorts of things. But you've had good people in and around you. You've had these specks of good people in and around you. So you do understand that you didn't need an army. You just needed a few people to understand where you came from. Or at the very least, if they couldn't see you, they gave you room to be yourself without judgment. And that is not a small thing. So you've been in a position to slay those dragons. And the way you've done this, again, has been a little bit strange for people. You're unique. You go off the beaten path. You do things on your way. You're not a 9-to-5 kind of person. And if you are, you could do it for a very small amount of time, and then you need to get out of it for a while, or you need to infuse some kind of your quirkiness to make it work. So, and now what you're doing is you're deciding what you want to do, and you're doing only what you want to do. And that is not wrong. It's not, you don't need to sacrifice in any way, shape, or form. That's not to say that compromises won't come up, but you don't need to sacrifice for what you actually want. So this is all about you going for exactly what you want and not settling for anything less, and using your energy, using your power, using your magic to manifest this. And in order to do that, understanding and honing in on your power, and also respecting the path that you've taken. Yes, it's been off the beaten track, but you know what? So what? Because you've gone off the beaten track, you have this beautiful knowledge that not a lot of people have. You have these beautiful insights that not a lot of people can really get out there and articulate. That's what makes you you. So what else do we have? Voyage. You already have all the answers. So you're getting to that point. You're not getting to that point. You're at that point again where you're claiming everything. I claim this, I want this, and I'm not settling. But at the same time, you're great. You've got that expansiveness. I know it may not look the way that I think it's going to look, or maybe it'll look even bigger, but you know what it is, and you're willing to risk everything to be able to do it. Like, you're not going to go backwards. You've made a decision. I'm not going backwards. I'm not going to get into, all right, just in case it doesn't work out, I'm going to do X, Y. You're not. You're doing it. You've got your 2 feet planted very firmly into what it is that you want, and you're moving forward. You are on a roll, and it's absolutely beautiful. So a lot of what you need will be found in the darkness. And a lot of this beauty that you have can be found in the darkness too. And when we say the darkness, it just means that it's been hidden from you, or you've kept it safe, or it's in a way you're continuing a path that not everybody takes, so it's not as illuminated. If people are taking the same path, and so many people have been through it, their light shines on that path, right? If you're taking a path that's not as illuminated, then the path is going to seem darker, but that path is beautiful. It's not dark, it's not evil, it's productive, it's beautiful, it works for you, and it's going to shower you with as many gifts and as many powerful understandings as any other path. It's just a little bit off the beaten path. That's it. But you're able to do it. You have the power to do it. Not everybody will do it that way. Not everybody is able to do it, and it's not in everybody's blueprint. They're not supposed to go in that direction, or maybe they're a little bit afraid, but you're not. You have a really interesting we're just going to put this up. You have a really interesting and beautiful mysterious aura to you, but the way in which you work with fear is also very interesting and not of the norm, which is absolutely wonderful. So witch's cottage and security and candle magic. So yeah, you are without a doubt shining. Now, we did this with pile 1 and 2. We're just going to put this back here so we have a little bit more room, but the energy of the candle is still there. All right, Hazel, hold up the darkness. So you are creating something tangible for yourself. You're creating the security for what you want in this world. You're creating security. Now, that could be a home. It could be a new job. It could be doing what you want to do for a living. Whatever it is, you're creating it, and you're not stepping away from it. And you're using your own power to be able to do it. You absolutely understand at every core of your level that we create our own reality, and that's what you're doing. And you're really doing that in every minute. So the path in which you're taking, again, it's a very specific path, but it's a path for you. And for those of you who have been a little bit nervous, like, I don't know if I'm on the right, or if I'm doing this the right way. You don't feel as though you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. You feel as though there's a timing element. You're feeling excited. You know that you're moving forward. You can sense your power. You can sense the integration of the power. And you can also sense that all of the energy that you put into fighting or getting through stuff, now you've taken that energy and you've cultivated it so that energy can be the force for good for you. So you're not fighting the world anymore. You're not fighting people. You're not giving away your energy to anything that doesn't deserve it. You're taking that energy for you. You're securing that energy for yourself, and you're moving forward boldly. So you have extra energy going on. Some of you may not be sleeping as well. That's fine. You'll catch up with it. I know there's a lot of, get a lot of sleep, heal, this, that, and the other. Absolutely do that. That is absolutely true. But, as we go through different cycles, your body makes up for it in different ways. So don't worry that if you're not getting as much rest for now. There's a lot of integration and there's a lot of leveling up, especially in your DNA, all sorts of activations that are happening. But it's a different kind of activation that you've happened before. This is like so much more powerful, but at the same time, it's not as much on your body or mentally as it was before. So again, taking that energy, and it's all about taking that power, that energy back, where you're putting your focus and taking it back to you. So all of that energy, there's no more fighting, no more, acceptance of what's going on in the outer world. Again, accepting that everybody has chosen their own reality and they get to choose what it is. And, if you click onto any one reality, and there's so many of them out there, you can get sucked into them immediately. Because the energy is palpable around each and every reality, and each and every reality is right. They've got it right. They know what they're doing. And that's just the way it is with reality, right? You're absolutely right. And people are locked into that reality. So, stay away from all of those realities. They're right for people. People have clicked into it. That's what they've chosen, and they have every right to choose that. Earth is a free will zone. We cannot get pissed off about people are choosing this or people are living that way. We just can't. That's just extra energy that you're putting out there, So you're taking that energy back, you're grounding it into yourself, you're using it for your own ideology, your own understanding, and really welding that magic. Now, some of you actually have dragon energy. Some of you actually have dragon energy and working with dragons. And it did come up, somebody actually commented on this in there. Absolutely right. And I did think about it and then I forgot, and I'm so sorry, but we did a magical realms recently, and I was going to bring dragons in for that magical realm because a lot of you work with dragons, and I thought, let's do the magical realm. As we did it, as I did the reading, I forgot. So for those of you who did have that reading, but the dragons didn't come up, this dragon energy is coming up for you now. Absolutely working with dragons and slaying the dragons and working with fire, and that passionate energy too that you have that's worked in and around you, also against you, because sometimes you can be a little fiery. And there's nothing wrong with that, but not always the person that you're firing at has deserved it, but that's all part and parcel of working with this energy. But this is what we don't want to say in control of, but this is where you're at, where it's this new level of working again in this really exciting realm of in the darkness. And you might even really create a new way of seeing how we work in the darkness. So a lot of this stuff is really old. And a lot of these things are coming up in the collective now, especially old ways of seeing religion, good versus evil, fighting evil, this sort of spiritual warfare. And you're just really fighting yourself. But, the idea that we see darkness as evil and all of this stuff. These are old paradigms that are absolutely coming up right now. And they hold people in place. They hold people in place in fear so they can be controlled, right? So, and again, everybody has their right to do that. So it really is about for you to redefine the understanding of fear, to redefine the understanding of darkness. And this is something that's available to you now. Now, not everybody is going to be into that. We're going to be honest with you, because some people are really into this religious understanding of, this is who I am, and they've identified with it. And again, that's their right. And it's neither right nor wrong. It works with them. And if that's what they want in this lifetime, they're happy with it, go be you. But that's not what you're here to do. You're here to shake up. You're here to redefine. Some of you may even have trickster energy. going on. So the way in which you show up could trigger people. Again, that's just the way it is, you know, don't worry about any of that stuff. So it is what it is. And because you have that raw power, you might actually trigger people because they're a little bit frightened. But that's because you don't stand for the old paradigms anymore. You're creating new ones. And that's why you're here to do. Now, you've always wanted to create new ones. And in your own individual sense, you have your entire life. This is not brand new. You didn't wake up one day and go, oh, I'm just going to be a little bit quirky. I'm going to be out there. I'm not going to follow these rules, this, that, and the other. I'm going to do whatever I want to do. But, you know, it's not that there were consequences in society, but you wouldn't have been seen for the powerful person that you are. It would have been a little bit different. So you learned to work in the world in a very specific way, hid your power a little bit, you moved on, you did this, you sort of worked in the darkness a little bit. That's why you work so well in it, because you understand the darkness. You've had to work in it. And that's not because you were necessarily hiding. It's just that you were protecting your energy and doing things the way that you wanted to do. And because you weren't doing it the way that everybody else was doing it, it needed to be down on the down low a little bit. There's nothing secretive about it necessarily, although you do have a secretive side. You have a very mysterious side. You have a secretive side, and that's what people sense about you. That's another thing that can make people kind of uncomfortable, because people are, and we're seeing this come to the surface right now too. People want definitives. They want a yes, they want a no, they want a wrong, they want a right. I've chosen this, I know it's right. They want a definitive. And nobody wants to be told that everybody's making their own reality and there's no definitive. Whatever you choose is whatever you choose. People don't like that. They do not like that. And you don't stand for the definitive. You stand for absolutely everything. So, you know, the way in which you worked would not have been seen or appreciated. And when you did come out of the shadows a little bit, you know, you got projected upon and this, that, and the other. And that was, you know, it's harrowing. It's a lot. But all of those, that sort of chaos around these definitives is sort of crumbling too. Now, people are still holding on to the definitives like their lives depended on it. And that's fine. That could be part of the process. As they come through, it eradicates or just melts away. And some people are just going to stay in them. And that's fine. Again, that's fine. But there's a new world shifting where we don't need those anymore. We absolutely don't. And a lot of people are already living in that world. So this is the time for you to show up. This is a divine timing element for you. And because you've worked the way in which you have, you've had your own limelight. Now the moon has its own light. So you have been directed in beautiful ways. You've had enough light in your life. You've just been directed by moonlight, you know, through the darkness rather than the sun. But you also have sun energy in and around you. There's this da-da part of you that's ready to get out there and do that. You absolutely do. But, you know, you could have been moon folks. You could have been night owls for a good portion of your life, or found that, you know, this real sense of security and this beauty. This real peacefulness came up at night. And, you know, and at some point when you were dealing with things, you could have been quite afraid of the dark at the same time. This weird kind of dichotomy where you feel peaceful about it, but at the same time, you know, there's stuff out there. Because you also do know you can sense beings, you can sense entities, you can sense all sorts of things. You've worked through all of that anyway. You can work with all of that energy and all of those realms. So we don't need to really go into that too much. So you've got the Page of Pentacles, that's reversed under that, and then you have the Sea. So this is wonderful too, because what you've done is you've taken your own magic again. She's concocting her own magic on her own terms, and she's doing this with other realms, the way in which she wants to do this. And you may have found that if you try to do things the conventional way, it just doesn't work out. Some of it could have been really detrimental. You tried to do the 9-to-5 job, or you tried to do something and you were either miserable where it's just awful, or something happened. You might have even had an accident or this, that, and the other. Now, that's just your soul telling you that that's not what they want you to do. You're never supposed to do that sort of work. And that's fine. You went through it. You did it. That's fine. There's no wrong or right. You got it. Anyway, you move through that. You also know that what you're doing is putting your 2 feet, making the security in the world that you want. And the security is having whatever it is that you want and knowing there's an abundance of it and being able to bring it in whenever you want. Again, doing things the conventional way may not have done it for you. You're just not a salary type person one way or another. And if you do, then you bring in, again, that quirky element. There's other things going on. But this is really, you're doing things your own way. And the way in which you're doing things is significantly different to the way other people have done things. So, you know, in the past, when you've compared yourself, this could be really traumatic for you, because even people who are doing sort of spiritual things or slightly quirky things, or have a slightly quirky sensibility about them, and they seem to be doing very well, still had a very systematic kind of way of moving and marketing and this, that, and the other. Even comparing yourself to people like them, while their success is absolutely warranted and wonderful, still may not have worked for you. So comparing yourself at any level would not have worked for you. It could have been quite upsetting, because you just have an original way of working. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. Now, what you can do, and occasionally what you have done, is you've taken people that you've admired, and you've seen the way they've done things, and again, it's just been based off of energy and their magic and creativity and that sort of thing, and then that's the way I want to do it. But again, there's no like set rules of how they did it, so you can't really look down and go, all right, they did this, and then they did this, and then they did this. Things happened to them, but they didn't just happen to them. They worked their magic, and this energy came in. So this is what you've been working on. You've been working on your energy. You've been working on your magic. You've been working on taking that rawness of the magic, the mystery that you have, and that beauty, and bringing it to life in a new way for the world. Got that standing stone, and you've got that harm none. That's beautiful. And you've got that Two of Wands. So you have, again, that passion coming in of choosing the road that you want and standing on it very firmly and understanding that this is it. You are showing up in your life in a way that you never have done before. And you're also acknowledging that you could not have done it without everything that you have been through. And you've been through a myriad of different experience, up, down, left, right, north, east, west. I mean, you've been through it all. You've been through the gamut, which also makes you not only an extremely sensitive and emotional person, which is gorgeous, because if you're emotional, you deal with your emotions, right? Some of you have, you know, rejected them or dumbed them down, but this is something you've worked through. You know how to do that. You're extremely sensitive out into the world, and you know how to work with that, and you know how to stand strong for somebody. You know how to give people space to be who they are. This is really incredible, because this is something you're starting to do for yourself. So you've never really acknowledged how original you are. Now, we always say, and I always say, that we are all connected. We are all one. Nobody is above or below us, but we are all unique. We're not the same. We're not the same. We have different blueprints. We're here to do the same. We're here to do different things. That's why when, you know, people are making different choices, people are doing different lives. I don't understand this. You're not supposed to understand it. We're not all the same people. We don't have the same experience. We're not here to do the same thing. And just because you're of the light doesn't mean that somebody's here to spread the light. And that's okay. You know, because if we didn't have the darkness, you wouldn't understand your light, you know. It all comes to fruition. It all happens together. You know, nobody needs to be exactly the same. Nobody needs to make the same choices. Nobody needs to have the same outlook. The point is that we hold space for each other and understand they're all unique and different, but none of us deserve more or less. And we are still all connected. That's a given. We are all one. So you're coming into this and understanding that, but really claiming the passion of who you are, not stepping down from that. You're not taking that away from anyone else, but you're putting your center forward. And this is really important for you, because you've never really done that. You've always let everybody else be center forward first, and you've let people sort of push your limelight out of the way a little bit, because they needed to be da-da, and you didn't mind dimming your light to let people do that, because that's what they needed. They needed it. You know, their ego was not as secure as yours one way or another. And, you've been heavily in the ego. You've worked with the ego, you know that. But your ego developed a little bit differently. So you know that if you step back and let people do that, then they would shine and that would be okay. But that hurts you a little bit. You're not doing that anymore. You're taking all of that power back, and you're standing on your own terms and saying, no, fuck it. This is it. I'm doing it. I'm doing it my way. I'm doing it. And that's it. And that's not that you're still being expansive. It's not that you're being inflexible. It's not that you're not willing to change or move. It's you're absolutely flexible. You're absolutely expansive, but you're also taking that energy of like, no, I'm not dumbing myself down. I'm not pulling myself back so other people can shine because they're insecure about who I am. I'm gonna do this in my own way, and I'm gonna really embrace the way in which I've done things. Yes, it's a little bit strange. No, it's not gonna make sense to everybody, but I'm not here to save the world. I'm not here to save everybody. I'm here to shine the light in the way that I am and really step into my blueprint and show people that the darkness is not necessarily anything to be afraid of. In fact, so many gifts you will find in the darkness, not just your shadow self. So many gifts. And what we've been taught, and absolutely through religion, which has come down from centuries to centuries, and in, you know, some people's DNA has been inherited. You know, you inherit your family name. Sometimes you inherit, you know, being Catholic or this, that, and the other. There's nothing inherently wrong with being Catholic, or it is a beautiful religion. That's my parents' religion. But you know, you've come in to do something different, and you've come here to sort of crumble what doesn't work within that, and show it, because there's a lot that doesn't work within it. There's just a lot that doesn't work, and you can do it with an open heart. You can do it with flexibility. You can do it by shining light and standing tall for who you are. You don't have to do it by pulling down something else. You don't have to do it by saying something else is wrong. But you can acknowledge that things are outmoded, things don't work anymore. So you're here to adjust. You're here to bring the beauty. You're here to bring the darkness into the light. But you're here to appreciate it for exactly what it is. And you also have that mysteriousness to you. And you stand in that darkness. You stand in that energy. People are going to be afraid of that. That's fine. You know, you can use that to your advantage. It's a beautiful thing, actually. So you've got the elements here. The element of fire, air, earth, and water combined to create powerful protective boundaries, spiritual, mental, physical, and emotional. You have everything going on. I mean, you are balanced in such an incredible way, not just through the elements, but through the earth, through everything. The way in which you are right now, you have the perfect storm to make whatever it is, with all this energy coming in to put it out there, project it out there, and pull in exactly what it is that you need. All of your guides are there standing true, including all of your bloodline, your family line that you've worked with. So you have this strength to gain this visibility that you want to gain. And all you need to do is to stand in your own power and keep doing it. I love this. The festival creates an energetic blueprint for a fantastic party or event. This is your life. You're creating this life on earth as a party, as a festival. That's what you want. Magic every day. And you're in a position to be able to pull that in and have this magic on your own terms, shining your power everywhere that you go and pulling in all the abundance that you could possibly ever want. So this is what we have for you, Pile 3. An incredible reading. We are sending you so much support for exactly who you are and where you are in the world. Please take care of yourself. Go be you and continue with that beautiful, beautiful energy that you have, shining your light everywhere that it's needed, including the darkness, because the darkness can tell us so much more about ourselves than the light sometimes. And you're here to bring that truth. So stay being you, and until we meet again, bye-bye, Pile 3. Or Spellbook 3.